going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. I am joined by Jake and Izzy. How you guys doing?
Yellow.
Let's fucking go.
Let's eat, brother.
I am way too, I just drank a little bit of this Bang, and I'm like ready to fucking work out.
Let's go.
And that's not what this podcast is going to be about.
It could be.
But I like specifically took Bang out of my regimen a few weeks ago because I decided it was bad for me.
Probably is.
But I needed to get up, and now
You're ready to go.
I'm up.
The moose has been awoken.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you're watching this podcast, you're probably very confused because you're like, who the fuck is Izzy? And why is she here?
That's exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah, right?
Right.
For the 7, we have consistent viewers.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Viewers, yeah. For the homies, for the
so
fucking
appreciated.
Homies. I will say this: Izzy has been my closest female friend for August 2019, 2018.
They're not gonna believe us unless we have a specific date.
Right.
A specific date, like
I know. I'm like, what fucking date was that?
Yeah.
No, we've been best homies for like honestly family.
Yeah.
For like 4 years. Yeah, like it almost feels like we're so close. We're so close that it feels like I've known her
my whole life.
Yeah, my whole life, or like even past lives. Like she's been like someone that I've been able to count on. Like I would call you.
Yeah.
You know, to like, yo, bro, I'm having a bad day, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. Like, I would call Izzy, but like, she's a female, so she would give me the female perspective.
The compassionate, but sometimes just as like Italian, just as like moose, vibes as possible. Like, yeah. And likewise, I mean, the conversations that Jake and I have are just like, I get some of like my best inspiration or my like biggest moments of clarity when I speak to you.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why?
Do it.
Bang.
Hi.
We really should have headphones, but...
Do you think so?
Yeah, because then you can hear... I did a podcast a couple weeks ago with headphones, and it makes a little bit of a difference, but it's all good.
Yeah,
we look good, the hair is good.
Everything's fine. Judge me.
No, we're good.
Judge.
Before we get into that, I want to talk about how we met.
Okay.
Because it was fucking hysterical. So I felt honestly like I was destined to meet her because I met her. I was bouncing 4 years ago, and I was working at this bar called the Lazy Lobster. I think it was. Yeah. Yeah, Lazy Lobster, and I had absolutely no reason to be working there. It was the only time that I worked there. Haven't been back since. And I saw this woman, tan, good looking,
Bronzed.
You were bronze. You used to be fucking tan. You're still tan or whatever.
I was glowing.
Like, yeah, she was glowing, and she had like these like spiritual earrings on.
Right.
You know.
I think they were just like suns. Like they were like beaded bracelets. I mean beaded, like a beaded earring that like kind of dangled. And I think that just really got you excited in a lot of different ways.
When I first met you, I like viewed you as like
Mother Teresa.
No, like almost like a mate, you know? I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Right.
You know, I'm like, who is that over there? And then I'm a believer in law of attraction, like the things like I don't know, like I saw her from across the bar, and I believe God set us up to both go to the bathroom at the same time. And
right.
We got into a conversation about Wayne Dyer for whatever specific reason. And then we just became like fucking homies.
But it was so stupid the way that like we met, because it was like that conversation that gets sparked for no reason. Like it's just like, well, how did we even begin talking? And I think it was like, I always remember this part because it's like we both commented on the fact that there was one bathroom that had like maybe like an H on it. Yeah. And we were like, what the fuck does the H stand for?
Human.
Right.
Human.
Right.
Human beings go here. Yeah, we didn't put 2 and 2 together at the time. We just got into like a spiritual fucking conversation.
But that's so beautiful how like it takes so little to connect. And like here we are 4 years later. Like it took like literally like it was the difference between you and I just like looking at each other and being open to make that connection, which allowed for 4 years of this. And like however long this relationship, I would think for the rest of our lives, we'll have it. So.
Yeah. So when I met Izzy, I was very much on like my spiritual kick, and she was. I mean, she still is on her spiritual kick, and I might have evolved a little bit outside of it.
I thought you were gonna say like I evolved past her.
No,
like,
no, I've not.
Like
I've not evolved. I've not evolved past her, but yeah, we shared a lot of like things on like the spiritual side of things, and it's honestly kind of crazy that this is the first podcast that we've ever done, because like we should have done
so many
by now.
So many.
How would you intro yourself to the world? Like if I had to if I had to ask you to give an elevator statement, like an elevator pitch of who you are.
Right. Luckily, I'm going to be hosting a guided meditation. I just like drop it like a
plug, yeah.
A plug right now. I'm going to be hosting a guided meditation at this cafe in New Jersey. And so they just asked me to write a bio for myself. So luckily, like I just practiced doing this, and I had a hard time, like, what would I say about myself? Like, I don't like boxes, and like I'm so esoteric. Like, what would I say? And what I landed on was something along the lines of like, I'm a being who is passionate about having a joyous existence and is committed to empowering others to do the same. Essentially.
Yeah, that sounds like way less complicated than my life. That seems like a life, like, I don't know, it just seems like a good life.
Yeah.
It just seems like a good fucking life.
And if anybody's like, no, like you can't fucking say that, you know? Like if anybody's like, no, like get more specific, or like say something real, you know,
right.
Say something that makes sense to the world. It's like, no, fuck that.
I guess something that would be good to intro this podcast would be like, so like I introed you as like this like spiritual goddess. Like that's like kind of what you are to me. Like if I'm fucking falling off the spiritual wagon, like I know you're fucking on it, you know? So
what a blessing. Yeah.
What got you there? Like what life experience brought you to the self-help section at Barnes & Noble? And then how did the self-help section at Barnes & Noble turn into like spiritual ceremonies with you can get into all of that, but like you know, like how did it evolve, I guess?
I would definitely say pain. Right? Like it always starts with pain. Yeah, I have this saying right now that it won't just be right now, I'll probably have it forever, which is pain as a portal. And I also love alliteration because I'm a writer and a poet. So just the fact that we get to have pain is a portal, I love so much. But yeah, pain, like when you get to your lowest of low, it's like the egg that provides that pressure so that when you burst through it, you know you've grown. So, and like how pressure creates diamonds, right? It's that same type of concept, that same type of idea of like, we need to go through like the deepest, darkest shit. And that's usually what takes us to like the highest of highs.
So what was painful for you? Like, how did you, like, did you grow up like going to the self-help section at Barnes & Noble, or like how, like what got you there? Because like from what I understand about you, like you were just kind of like a normal chick. Was there like a specific like event?
No, it was more like I had a rough like upbringing, not necessarily like everything's relative, of course, but like I had a tumultuous like, you know, living situation growing up. My parents always fought, so that made me very much question like why the pain? Like why is there so much pain on this earth plane? Like what is it all for? And what was birthed inside of me from such a young age was like, I know in my heart of hearts that it doesn't have to be this way. Like I just knew like in my soul, like it doesn't have to be this way. And I would tell my parents who were in so much pain, and I would tell my sister who's been depressed for a long time, like I would just be like, we don't have to be sad. Like I know that there's another way. And so that's always been with me. Like that's always rung true for me and rung through me. It's been that message of like there doesn't have to be this pain. And I guess like my life path has been a reflection of me continuously proving myself right. and in such like a myriad of ways, like through psychedelics, through the books, like just continuously finding things to reflect back to myself that proves, yes, like it can be an amazing experience, you know.
Wow.
So what was at what age do you think you realized that? You know, because I mean, you said when you were younger. So what was the age? Because not many, you know, say young teens are having that mindset or having to have that
Right.
understanding or realization in life that like, hey, like things don't have to be this way, or, you know, you can be happy, or
Right.
I need to start putting this outlook, you know, in other people's lives, especially to the people closest to me. So like, what age did you realize that?
What I usually refer to is like I must have been 8 years old, and I was like my parents' couples like counselor. Like I became like my parents' like marriage therapist. And I remember like distinctly, I must have been like just like single digits age. I was like saying to my mom, like, you really gotta get out of this marriage. Like it's so unhealthy, you know? And so I really don't know. It feels like it's been that way since I was born, because like I'm not the type of person who has memories back to like 3. Like some people are like, oh, I remember when I was like 4 years old. Like no shot. Like I have no recollection. But if I'm just being honest, like it's from when I can remember. Like as early as I can remember, I just was very... And it was all through my parents' relationship being so shitty. Like that's the thing that made me be like... so defiant about like life can be good, like this is bullshit.
Has their relationship affected your relationships today?
Definitely but actually like in the reverse way. Like I like out of my family, people would downright like easily say, like no debate, that I have the best relationships with men, that I've had the best relationships. Like it's almost like it helped me in the reverse way, where like they're like very healthy. Like I have like wonderful relationships because I'm so opposed to them being anything less than wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a lot. Like that's, you know, in most cases where you see something so much at a young age where, like you said, it affects you in a positive way, where it shows you like, all right, this is exactly what I don't want.
Yes.
So I'm going to do everything to make it the opposite and make my life the way like I want it, the way I think it should be. Exactly. So I feel like a lot of the lessons you learn, especially like you said, like you were 8 years old doing that. So when you had to witness that, you were like, okay, like this is what I'm not going to have in my relationships moving forward.
But the trip about that is that if you focus too much on what you don't want, that's exactly what you'll get. So it has to be this perfect balance of like not obsessing over like not wanting that, but kind of just like being more focused upon like what I did want. And like luckily for me, I think like I have a very positive outlook on life. So yeah, just my point is like, if you obsess over what you don't want, you're more than likely going to like fall into it in some trippy backdoor type of way.
So you think the more you think about things, the more you attract them into your life?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, because like I feel like
debate us.
Right.
Yeah, like I just
you get like ready.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
No, I feel like if I know like I don't want something, and my main focus is to keep that out of my life, like I'm gonna do whatever I can to not have that be a part of my life. Like if I know that, say for an example, alcohol was an issue for a parent or a loved one or someone close to me, and I saw how it destroyed their life, like I feel like that is going to be the motivation where whenever I see alcohol, I'm going to know like I want to stay away from this. Like I know this is no good for me. I see what it does. I see the negative effects it has on people. So I don't know if like maybe it runs different or deeper in different scenarios, like you were saying, like maybe in your case it's different. So I don't know. That was just like one example that popped up in my head where it's like, if I saw someone on drugs, or like if I see, you see a crackhead on the street or someone like really battling drug addiction, that's going to make me not want to do it. And like if I see, the more I see that, the more I'm going to be like, all right, this is not for me, rather than like if I see it all the time and I think about it, I'm like, oh, like I want to start doing drugs.
I can speak about that a little bit because like something that was weird for me, like, so like my stage of like becoming a spiritual person was I was never spiritual at all until I had to be spiritual, because I started getting fucking, like you said, pain. Like I started getting fucking panic attacks, you know? So like my like spiritual process was feel like I was dying for an entire year and just deal with that, just deal with like generalized anxiety. And then once I got over that, I had to deal with, I guess like compulsive thoughts, you know, like getting stuck in, I guess the word would be like thought loops.
Rumination.
Yeah.
It's called in psychology, rumination.
Yeah. I would just ruminate about something. So like that's where like you attract whatever it is that you think about, whether it is good or bad. And I can certainly attest to that, because like what I found is easier, like anytime I've ever let go of any type of attachment or any type of addiction, I didn't let it go through wanting to get rid of it so bad,
right?
And thinking about it, you know, and like pushing it away. Like what made me be able to get past like certain like ruminating thoughts, I guess, was like there's just like this weird moment of like letting go, you know, weird moment of letting go, and then all of the weight that it carries, you know. It's like addiction is a weird topic, because I know if an alcoholic gets past, you know, if they, like let's say they go through AA and they're 7 years sober, it's almost like a part of their story for the rest of their life, I guess. You know, it's like, hey, I'm 7 years sober.
Yeah.
Which means like you're still. That means to me like, oh, like that's.
You're still addicted in some way.
Yeah.
You're still attached to that, right?
It's part of your identity. It's part of who you are.
Like
and it's like any moment you could go back because you're like 7 years sober.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. So much so. Exactly. Like so much so to where like, oh no, I can't be around.
Right.
I can't even be around it.
You've
know?
like highly sensitized yourself to this one thing.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be a dick, you know, because I know a lot of people cope like that. You know, a lot of people deal like that. But it doesn't sound like it's the optimal way to get past some type of addiction.
Well, because we give power to it, right?
Yeah.
Because we just give so much power to the thing by making it this thing that like, oh my God, if I do this thing, like, or if I'm around this thing. So thus we keep like juicing it up, like, you know, kind of like pumping roids into this topic or, or this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like to like almost like to contradict what I was saying, like now, like thinking about it. So like, there's two things. Like when I was on the podcast, I was on someone else's podcast the other day, and they asked me like, "What's your biggest fear?" And for, you know, a lot of like people, I guess, I don't know, maybe the answer most people would say like, "Oh, like, my biggest fear is failure," like stuff like that. Like you and I always talk about, Jake and I always talk about. Like we're not worried about failure. Like we always just know we're gonna figure it out. So like that's like I wasn't gonna give a cliche answer. I was like, yo, if you want my honest opinion, like my two biggest fears is like planes, like a plane crash, and cancer. Because like my mom died of cancer, so I saw the firsthand of what cancer does to someone and like how it breaks you down. So thinking about that now. Like, those are, like, the two things that, like, I guess bring me fear. Like, on a daily basis almost. Where, like, I'm thinking, like, is the food I'm consuming and drinking or smoking, like, is this going to, like, make me more susceptible to cancer? You know? And then, like, every time I get on a plane, you know that little,
yes.
You know, like, that little crack?
The gap.
Before you walk on the plane of fresh air. And, I go...
Fuck.
That might be my last breath of fresh air. And like I'm super like that might be my last breath of fresh air.
It's terrible.
From
wow.
Yeah. Like I have really bad anxiety when I get on a plane.
Right.
So like thinking about it now, like obviously cancer is probably the biggest fucking cause of death in America because of how poor people's diets are and smoking and drinking and all that.
Right.
But I see cancer commercials all the time.
Right.
You know, if you want to get screened for lung cancer, if you want to get this for prostate cancer, you know what I'm saying? Like, I see it all the time.
Yeah, it's so apparent, yeah.
And I'm like, yo, like, these are the signs. I'm like this is like my mom or the universe, someone throwing this at me. Like, yo, stop doing what you're doing. And then fucking, of course, I don't know how, on my phone all the time on TikTok, I see fucking plane crash or a plane fucking do this. And I'm like, fuck.
So this really gets into the law of attraction, like the whole concept. Are you familiar with law of attraction at all?
I'm familiar with it, but I'm also
He's read some books.
He's done some
no,
work.
But I'm also like,
He's
yo,
seen
like
some
the
texts.
phone fucking listens to me.
Yes.
Like on the TikTok agreement, like if you read the fine print,
yeah.
like bro, they have access to everything you search, everything you. So it's like whenever I look up something or think about something,
Right.
or I guess talk, they fucking throw it on my feed.
Yeah, it's unreal.
So I'm like, yo, like I
It's
can't
unreal.
get away from it. So like I do believe in the law of attraction, but like I don't want to attract that shit. I don't want to attract fucking plane crashes and cancer. It's fucking terrifying.
I like a part of my journey, like a book that came to me that was like, what the fuck, like blew my mind. And it was actually when I was getting into the law of attraction, Abraham Hicks material. This book called Seth Speaks came about. And Seth, oh my gosh. Essentially, it's just like what grabbed my attention was that I saw an excerpt from this book. And it was talking about how our reality is constructed of electromagnetic energy. And it's like well, I don't know if it's quite free floating, but our thoughts being like, we are electric beings, right? Like you can detect like the electromagnetic, sphere and like the energy that we emit, right? Like we have EKGs. I'm like super rough on this topic, but right, like you can detect like an EKG. What is an EKG?
I think it's like it detects like what patterns your heart beats at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe electric. I don't know. We have electric in us. We have a current.
We got electricity, right? We got electricity.
Yeah.
Things are firing, right?
Yeah.
And so the book just talks about how like our thoughts literally help bring units of electromagnetic material together, which thus then actually causes things to materialize.
Yeah.
So talk about like your thoughts create your reality, like no joke, like no fucking joke. So then like, Joe Dispenza, if you guys are familiar, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No idea.
So he's someone who like is a testament to like mind over matter, right? Because he got diagnosed with like, oh, you can never walk again, right?
He had a crazy like I don't know if it was a car accident or something, but he essentially like fractured his spine like pretty bad. And the doctors, it was like way worse than my shit. The doctors were like literally like, yo, you can't, like you're not gonna be able to walk. And from what I understand, and I'm gonna butcher it because I don't know him too well, and like so you can like finish it, but like his whole thing is like he healed his back with his mind.
Yeah.
And then got super passionate about it, and then like I don't know if he already was a doctor or if he became a doctor after that, but like now he's a doctor. And like Joe Dispenza's super cool because like he speaks practical about all the spiritual stuff, about law of attraction. Like he's essentially like bringing the Eastern like these Eastern like topics into the West.
Yeah, in a way that's like very digestible for people. Yeah. So yeah, I mean he's a testament to mind over matter of like you can use your mind, and with him it was meditation and visualization to literally, he said he piece by piece, like vertebrae by vertebrae, like restored his spine. So that's such a beautiful example of how like how our thoughts like not only affect our body but like affect our environment, can affect like our lives and like really create our experience and have like an influence on our experience. So going back to you and like the plane and cancer, it's like, it would be best not to make suggestions to your body about cancer or to stir up that fear, because what is it, like the number one cause of all disease is stress. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the best thing we could possibly do for our health and for our lives is actually to like not stress.
But so I don't really stress that often, but so then how do you keep those thoughts away? Because like I feel like I'm so like in tune with my own mind, where like I'm having conversations with myself all day, and like I'm just always like we have thousands of thoughts that run through our mind daily, and half of them are good, half of them are bad. And it's like, how do you get rid of those thoughts? Because like the more I try not to think about it, the more they come in.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, what do you do at that point? Because you're just like you're at war with yourself.
Yeah.
Because every
Oh my
time
gosh.
you try not to think about something bad, the more it just floods your mind, and then like you're like, oh, I'm gonna read, or I'm gonna try to do something, and then like, I mean, at least for me, like. Then that's when like anxiety starts to flare up, and like that's when I start to get like super anxious, and then I can't get a deep breath. Now I'm like pacing, you know, like, and I'll have those moments like very like, I don't know, like it'll just like quick, you know what I'm saying, like out of nowhere,
Right.
and then you know I'll freak out for like a little bit, but like then I'll be good, you know, like once I start to do something, and once I'm like engaged in something, like
Distracted.
I'll play a video game, or like I'll go to the gym, or I'll play a sport.
He's doing a wonderful job, right?
You know? So it's like I'll do stuff like that, but like for the most part, when I'm not engaged in anything, I'm like my mind is just racing. So like what do you like, what would be your advice, say, to like battle that, to just like step away from your mind and just be able to just sit there and just relax without your mind all running all over the place?
Is this directed towards me, or do you have something to say?
I could say something, and then I'll hear your thing, because I obviously like we both would have probably very similar answers, but also like because like spirituality is like, it's such a weird term, because like what the fuck does it even really mean, you know? But like spirituality to me, it just means like studying spirituality is like seeking out people that can inspire you to look deeper within yourself. That would be like my like.
That's really good.
That is good, right?
That's really good. Yeah.
So like for like the cool thing about like spirituality is like there's so many different people that can inspire you to look deeper within yourself. You know, like someone can inspire you on a surface level, like maybe someone like a Mike, you know, or you can get really, really deep and go to like a Swami Vivekananda, you know, like you can go like to the East and like seek out teachers, you know.
Like when I try to read shit like that, like I can't get with it.
You're not ready for it.
So it's like, how, like, when do you know, or like how, like I went to Barnes and Noble the other day. Like seriously, like I went to Barnes and Noble, like I picked up a fucking Don Miguel Ruiz book.
Yeah.
I picked up a book from him. I picked up another book, and then like, you know, I read the back, and I read like the first fucking intro, and I'm like,
if it doesn't resonate,
I was like, I can't. And then I picked up fucking Relentless by Tim Grover,
Right.
and I was like, oh, I need
let's
this.
go. If it doesn't resonate, then it's just not time. It's like trying to make something, like trying to make a fruit ripe before it is. Like you can't fake it, you know? So yeah, like I think when the fruit is ripe, then it'll just, something will like click for you.
Yeah. But I don't know if that will ever click with me.
Yeah.
Like, because like I like that type of stuff. Like that's why like I read The Power of Now. Like The Power of Now was such a hard read for me. Like it felt like homework. It felt like
it's a hard read for a lot of people, bro. I get that all the time. Someone said that to me last night. Caleb Resnick. Oh, I'm not to
exposed.
Like, yeah. No, but she came up to me. She was like, "Yo," like she like looked at, like, you know when someone comes up to you and you could see thank you in their eyes, like thank you, like, you know, like you inspired me to like get it. Like I was having anxiety, and like now I'm like in these books because of you. And she was like, I read The Power of Now like over and over and over again, and I still can't get it, but I know it's good for me. But I can't fucking get it, but I know it's good for me, you know.
I couldn't tell you one thing. I get it. Like be present in the moment. That's it.
I read
all 300 pages, and
Yeah.
like I really and the one line I fucking say all the time with the animals.
Yeah.
When it's like, if there was no such thing as time, like you know, if you asked a tree or a bird what time is it, they'd say now, because like they don't think about time.
Right.
It's like just being present in the moment. But like that's all I got from it. And like, bro, I read the book. Like I forced myself to read it.
Well, maybe there's
And-
nothing to get. Maybe there's.
Maybe that is
maybe
it.
we're trying
300
to
pages to be present.
Really.
But like I read the 4 Agreements, you know, and like I liked it. Like it was like an easy read, but like it was just so like, I just feel like a lot of these books are just like so repetitive, and like they just keep saying the same thing over and over and over, and like in like a slightly different way.
Yeah.
And like to me, like I don't know, like I don't coexist with a lot of it, because like a lot of the things they talk about to me sound like very like low scale and like almost like petty, where I'm like, I don't even worry about these things.
Okay.
Like the things that like they like talk about as like issues or the things that people go through. I'm like, yo, like I don't even think about that shit. That shit doesn't faze me.
So we're all different. We're all
like
different.
That's why it's like tough for me to like get into those. But like The Alchemist, I loved because it's like a boy like on his journey and like he all these life lessons. Like that's more my vibe. But like I try to tap into that side. But like to me it feels so forced.
Well, I think that it's because like right now like spirituality has become like this trend, like ooh, like be spiritual, be, you know, like spiritually attuned, or like learn about yourself and self-help, and like all this has become like buzzwords and just like a place for marketing, like, you know. So it's, I think like some people who aren't like into it the way that like Jake and I per se are into it, like are made to feel like something's wrong with them, which is hilarious because like no, we're all like, we all have our designated roles, and like your role is to chill out and like play basketball and like enjoy your life and not think that deep into things. And then you have Jake and I who are like, like, oh my god, what do you say about this life? So it's like, yeah, I think if everyone was like us, that would be bullshit. And if everyone was like you, no offense, but that would be bullshit. So it's like, you shouldn't have to try to like conform yourself to like get what we're into, and we shouldn't have to try to conform ourselves vice versa.
Yeah, it's not like I'm forcing myself to get into it, but I just like, I hear and see all the positive benefits of it. And I'm like, all right, like I want to tap into this side, but then it just feels so forced. Like, bro, I was at the Barnes, like you said, I was at the fucking Barnes and Noble, like I'm reading the fucking sections and I'm like looking, I see like fiction, I see like self-help. I'm like looking around, like anyone else in here? I'm like, fuck. And like I was the only person in there, and like I'm like self-conscious about like I'm like reading I'm like reading through the books.
I was there.
Like I keep like looking over my shoulder, like does anyone see me in here? Like am I gonna run into someone that like knows me? Like, oh, like,
you're embarrassed.
This guy's going through it, like he's fucking looking for a book to like save his life. And I was like,
the shame.
Like yeah, like almost like not really, like
Continue
I really
that.
wasn't
I'm
ashamed.
using the restroom.
Like,
Continue that.
yeah, like I didn't fucking care. But yeah, like I like that idea, but I like more so like talking about it maybe than reading it. Yeah. Like a lot of the time, like when I read it, like the Four Agreements to me, I was just like, they're like, yo, when someone tells you you're ugly, you shouldn't let that affect you. And I'm like, duh. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about that
stuff. So for you, it was already a duh.
Yeah, where it's like, but like I can see where like some people like that may really like hit them deep and like they need that.
Yes.
So it's like
I do. I needed it. I like the Four Agreements didn't jive with me that hard, but like yes, like I guess like yeah, I think like we all have different paths to get to the same place. You know? So like I had this saying of like all roads lead to the peak. Yeah. You know? It's like the way you're doing it is like the way you're choosing to do it, and it's just
so there's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong.
No, bro. No, and dude, we're young as fuck, man. Yo, I had this thought today. I was on a run today, and at the end of the run, I did a little bit of a voice memo, and I was thinking about like certain personalities that I have, because I feel like, bro, this past week was really fucking. It was a crazy week for me, bro, because to get myself ready to go out, like I had to like go out, and I haven't been out in like a year and a half. Essentially, I've just been grinding, work mode, hustling, fucking just let's get, you know, like just business mode, you know. And I found myself like trying to get ready to go out, which used to be so easy for me. Yeah. You know, it used to be just, dude,
effortless.
put some 80s disco on. And we're good.
Pop the collar.
You know?
Yeah.
But I found myself like over a series of 3 days having to like mentally prepare myself. And then when I finally went out, I like literally felt a switch inside of me like change. Like it was way easier for me to talk to girls. It was way easier for me to be involved in conversations that I wouldn't normally be in. It was way easier for me to not give a shit about what other people think and like dance and just be stupid and make mistakes and not think about the consequences. So like that made me think like, yo, I like, what's inside of me? Like, do I have like different fucking personalities in there? Like, what is?
Ah, it made you think about like multi-personality.
Well, not like split, like nothing like that. But it made me think oh, like I have like a little bit of different versions of myself, you know. And like I broke it down into three. I have this like Italian, good-looking guy, like big ego, likes to dance, wants to get girls, wants, you know, whatever, wants money and status and this and that, right? And then I have this like ruthless aggression, you know, that's just like a switch that it like I'll die for this, you know, like that's the thing that it makes it easy for me to work hard and stay focused and it's honestly kind of serious. Like, it's not funny. It's kind of serious, you know, like it allows me to lock in and maybe use a little bit more of my critical thinking, you know. And then I have a God self, which is like the only thing that I have, you know, because like the basis of all spirituality, bro, like like I was saying before, having a spiritual once you enter the realm of spirituality, you'll usually have like a teacher, and that teacher is just trying to direct you inwards. And from what I understand about spirituality is just all about understanding that, like, yo, you're divine as fuck. Like, all these human issues that you have going on, right, like, they don't even, like, it's such an illusion, like, that you get fucking stuck in.
Yeah.
You know, like, it doesn't even like closely exist. And that's like the benefit of practicing spirituality, not just reading it, like doing an actual meditation or you know, like or like any type of like spiritual practice where like you can think a thought and then you can decipher. You can almost listen to your mind and realize that you're not your thoughts. That was like a big spiritual thing for me. Once I realized that it wasn't my thoughts, the whole fucking point of me getting into this entire thing was that I realized today that there's a God self inside of me. And I thanked God in that moment, because I was like, yo, man, like, in order for me to get to that place, there had to be a perfect storm. Mm-hmm. Things had to happen a very specific way. Yeah. Like, I had to first read Think and Grow Rich when I was playing college football, and then I had to get all this crazy anxiety, and then I had to fucking read The Alchemist, and then I had to read the fucking the Warrior of Light, and then I had to fucking meet Izzy, and then she had to give me Conversations with God, which changed my fucking life. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
right, it was everything had to perfectly unfold. Yeah, in order for me to I personally feel like get there, because I do believe, like, yeah, like, if you're trying to get more spiritual to, like, say you're spiritual, it's not cool. But if you're trying to get spiritual because, like, you've experienced spirituality in the form of, like, your God self, all you want to do is, like, get back to there. Like, you want to, like, like, I think that's why people love psychedelics, is because a psychedelic is like can be a one-way ticket to realizing how fucking great you are. Like, seriously,
how powerful
that is
you are.
so well said. That is so well said, because it literally is like, I don't know whether, like, it's the blue pill or the red pill in the Matrix, like, which signifies which.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's essentially just like taking this like pill, which like allows you to remember who you are and what you're doing here. It's like we took like the juice of like amnesia and like the agreeing to forget who we are, all to like have this beautiful winding journey to remember, to essentially getting back to the top and remembering, like, oh my gosh, I've been this God self, like you say, this divine self, like the whole time. Yeah. Everything else was just like a mere illusion.
Yeah. This hyper powerful self, like, that's like when I speak about like your highest self, your God self, like, and that was the thing that I experienced on mushrooms when I sat here and I told you and Brendan of that voice that came in my head, like, surrender. You're solid. Like, bro, like, I was even tripping out in the beginning of this podcast because I drank a White Claw, I packed a lip, I drank a Happy Dad, I had some wine, and then I drank a Bang, and then, like, I started to, like...
Wild.
I just started to feel myself start overthinking. And like your God, when I say God self, bro, it's just like you're just like this ultra like I love it because like I love like masculine things, I would say. So it's like to me, like when I can tap into whatever that is, I feel just solid. And it makes me think about all the things that I've ever worried about. And I'm like, yo, like it makes me almost like despise like myself in some ways. You know,
don't do that now.
Well, no, because it's like I think what happens with normal human beings, and this is like far out there, but I think what happens with normal human beings is they feel good when their mind tells them that things are going well for them. Oh, I'm good looking. Oh, I'm making money. People like me. And they feel bad when someone posts a negative comment about them. Their parent says something. They start to overthink things. Maybe they have a panic attack. And that I think is really what spirituality is all about, is realizing that all of it's bullshit. The good and the bad. It's realizing that you're so much more than just your mere personality. And like I said, it's hard to explain your God self, because explaining that is the reason why someone can read The Power of Now and not understand it. And I'm not saying you, I'm just saying like it's far out there. I think there is a perfect storm of steps that need to happen before you can even get there.
It's almost like you get there out of like being forced.
Yeah, because I'm a neurotic fuck now. You know, like I had to. Like I like, bro. Like if you told me 4 years ago that there would be times in my life that I would get so stressed out about nothing that I would want to call a fucking ambulance because I think that I'm dying, when literally nothing happened, but like meaning like a panic attack. Like if you told me 4 years ago that I would have had a panic attack, I would just I don't even know what that is. You know, it doesn't even exist to me. But once it existed, I realized how fucking real it was. You know, so like the only option, like the reason why I was able to enjoy The Power of Now is because those trivial things that you said, like you maybe don't experience, or like someone that's less neurotic might not experience, I fucking experienced all of it, you know? So for the first time, it gave me space, you know? It created this thing where like I realized like my problems were like an illusion, essentially, you know? And like that's what I think is so beautiful about spirituality, is that it makes you feel like all of it is just ridiculous.
Yeah. You know what vision I got though when you were saying that is like the buoy out in the ocean, and it's like there's a fucking storm, like you're just getting tossed around and you're like, you feel like you're drowning, you're gasping for air, like you're not sure if you're gonna make it, and then all of a sudden like God just gives you this buoy, right, like this life jacket or something that keeps you afloat, and you're just like holding on to it for dear life, and it's like it gets you through the storm essentially. And I feel like that's what those books and like psychedelics and all those things like have been like, oh my gosh, like this brings me at least to a place of like things might be okay. Like things might be okay. Yeah. I'm not positive, but like while I read this book or I'm going over this one sentence or this passage, like I feel like things are actually maybe gonna be okay.
Have you had like debilitating anxiety?
I think the majority of my life has been debilitating anxiety. Debilitating, yeah.
So for you, like, what has been something that, like, what is something you do, like, or you have done to essentially, I don't want to say combat that, but, like, I guess deal with that?
Holy shit. Well, I guess, like, getting into psychedelics, like, has been truly my solace. Yeah, like, I mean, there's like the day-to-day things of like waking up and being mindful of like what I want for the day and like setting that base foundation. Those are like day-to-day practical things. Like, what do I want to feel today? Like, what emotions do I want to be inside of, like abundance and clarity and like well-being? So there's that. But like I feel like psychedelics essentially has been like the main thing that I rely on, and some people would probably argue that I rely on too much, right?
Right.
But I ain't going back. Like,
Right.
I fucking like.
And you're like thrilled about psychedelics.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
She's been doing psychedelics, bro, since I met her, and like you were doing them heavily at one point. Aren't you still kind of doing them? Well, you were doing mushrooms like once a week or something like that.
Yeah. So I started mushrooms in college, and just like classic first trip with my best friend, and then I just went on this solo journey. Like I was like, fuck it, like she's not coming with me, like I'm just gonna take mushrooms like every other day and like just be in my like bedroom in my like college apartment, and I'm just gonna like journey by myself. And that's where I got like the juice.
And you would go there like microdose every other day.
No, I would take like, at one point I took like 7 grams by myself, which I think is like the
hero's journey.
Yeah. And it was like really like, wow, like that's when I saw like the that's when I essentially saw like the grid which makes up all of reality, and was able to like see this extra dimension that like connects everything.
Zach's like, fuck that. The grid. What are you talking about? We're in a room, motherfucker. Go on.
All right, so I had...
Go on, I permit you.
So I had 2 questions for you. All right, we'll start with that.
Yeah.
So, all right, one, to simplify, like in layman's terms, okay, like what was the difference between your mind in a completely sober state and then after taking 7 grams of psychedelics? Like, what was the difference maker in your mind? Like, what changed your vision? How did your outlook on life change? Like, what was the life change, like life altering thing that happened within you after doing that?
It was just like what you had mentioned, like having this moment during the trip where like you might, like I several times during trips with like acid and mushrooms and like also ayahuasca and this other plant medicine that I've used. It's like you get to a point where you're like, I'm dying, I'm dead, like this is the worst it will ever get, like I'm in hell, like you're convinced, right? Like you're like, this is fucking ass, right? Like this is just ass on all degrees of assness that it could be. And then all of a sudden, like the storm clears and like the sun comes out and like birds start chirping and there's like a rainbow and like, and metaphorically speaking, right? Like you go from this emotional depth of like doom to like all of a sudden like this high of euphoria and clarity like you've never had in your waking life before. And you're just like, everything's okay. And it's that simple. Like it's really that simple. Just a realization of like, I could go to the stormiest of storms and then I can make it out alive. Like everything essentially is always going to be okay. And so that gives me, as someone who like quit every sport that they played when they were younger, when it got too hard, or like when I like in soccer, I'll never fucking forget, like kicked the ball in my own goal, right? Like made like this fuck up move. And like, so I therefore like always had this thing with sports of like, I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to fail. As somebody who so often said no to challenges and backed away from like that type of shit, psychedelics has been my like challenge that I constantly get the opportunity to overcome and face and see through, like to the other side.
So when you're taking them, like, do you feel in total control, or is there something just guiding you, just pushing you along?
Yeah, this is like where you meet divinity, and like this is where you kind of like peek behind the curtain and have like your first interaction with like something greater than you and something unexplainable. Like you have those interactions where you're like, that wasn't me, and like there was nobody else like in the room with me to give me this guidance, but like I received clear guidance. Yeah.
So I'm trying to like, is there any way to like really like, I know you explained it, but like, is there any way to like really like dissect it to say someone like me who's never experienced it, to where I could have an actual understanding of maybe what you went through without actually doing it? Or like, do you personally think like the only way to really have actual like an understanding of what it does is to do it.
Absolutely.
So you have to do it.
Absolutely.
And do you think it's different for everyone?
The experience?
Yes.
Absolutely. But there is a lot of overlap. So like, for instance, like how I mentioned the grid before, like getting access to seeing this grid, it's like other people who have done mushrooms have seen the same thing as me. So there are overlapping in the experiences for people, but will it be exactly the same? Like, never. Of course not. Yeah.
So say for someone, obviously, who hasn't done it, and this was like my question from earlier, it was like, do you truly believe like everything happens for a reason? And what do you do personally to like control your own mind, say when you're not on psychedelics? Because do you feel heavily dependent on that? Like, do you feel like, okay, whenever I'm going through something, like I need to escape and do psychedelics? Or can you find like a healthy balance between the two where you're like, okay, like I'm good, and then I do psychedelics to take me to this other realm or other mindset? Or do you feel like you could get, like I said, like dependent on it, where you're like, all right, anytime I'm going through something or like my mind's racing, like I'm gonna just escape and get into this world?
Well, okay, well, luckily they're not that accessible, at least like ayahuasca is not, which is like always done in this ceremonial space most of the time with like facilitators and shamans. So like I wouldn't just be like popping like in like this brew, right? But mushrooms, fairly, like I could just like escape and like just, but I think there is a level of dependency because like it's just like anything, like you want to keep finding out more. Like you're obsessed with finding out more. Like you get an answer to like a life question, and then it's like you could have infinite life questions, like how you could never really run out. But if anything, I would say that psychedelics like are not really an escape, because they actually always lead you to have to confront your shit. Like you, right? Like, could you agree with that? Like, it's not really an escape. It's like drinking escape, right? Like drinking, like, okay, numbed, like
100%.
Yeah. But it's like psilocybin, mushrooms, you know, like these things like are so fucking confronting, which is why people have bad trips, you know, because like you get confronted with what we call like your shadow, which is like the shit you don't usually want to like, you know, confront or allow to come to surface. So yeah, what was your question?
No, that was like kind of it. So what was,
how do I
was
deal
the
with
number?
it?
Yeah, well, I asked like if you felt dependent on it. So I mean, like, well, you kind of answered that. So it was like, so what was the number one? Like, what was the worst thing you had to face during a trip?
Holy fuck!
You just said on, and you said on basically every single trip you have to deal with like the threat of dying.
Every fucking time, it's like the worst time ever. Every time, like,
so
just
how is that enjoyable?
right. Because like you get, okay, I can't say every time, that would be, I think, a lie, but like I guess like, yeah, every time, like you pretty much, okay, something I've learned, like as I keep doing it, is like I'm getting to a place where I realize that I don't have to go through the shit as much, and it's like I can choose to stop the suffering. So let's say you're having like a really shitty trip, right? And all of a sudden you like remember like, oh fuck, wait, like I don't have to go through this, which you could have that moment like in sober life where it's like you're about to go down a rabbit hole, you're about to like get really upset or depressed or bothered by something, and you can just be like, wait, like I'm not gonna go there, like I have the choice to like choose a higher path or an easier path. So that is something I'm learning with using these plants, is that we have this notion that you have to suffer through in order to learn something, because suffering is so in our culture, and maybe globally, suffering has been tied to knowledge and the gaining of knowledge and wisdom for so long. But I'm actually finally tapping into like, you don't have to suffer in order to learn, which I think is like fucking groundbreaking, because I think everybody disagrees with that, which does contradict what I said before, because I said pain is a portal. So,
Well, I think suffering is a great Kickstarter, but it's not going to keep your engine fueled. You know, it's not. It shouldn't be like if suffering gets you the thing that should keep you motivated to keep going to a divine place should just be the greatness of your divinity. Mm. It shouldn't be like trying to escape the suffering. And that's been like my flaw. You know, my flaw has been like I've used spirituality when I'm like freaking out. I've used it as like a vice, you know, like a fucking like hitting a vape, you know. Oh, time to read the fucking Power of Now again because I'm having a mental freak out. When it's like, how easy can it be if you just catch a vibe and keep it? Mm. And that's why like we speak about Mike. There's this artist that we both really like, and he's like super on the spiritual path. Mm. And you can just tell, like I can just listen to him the way he speaks. It seems like he's been on the path for less time than I've been, but he speaks more.
He's just vibing.
I think he's more on a vibe than me.
He's just vibing.
I think he's more on a vibe because like because he's kind of in that place, you know, like bro, one of the things that is working against us and other people.
Never.
No, it's working against us. One of the things working against us, I think, is I guess just the system that we're in, as far as like it's very hard to tap into something spiritual. At least I feel like when I feel like I have to make it as a man, like I have to make money, I have to make something of myself. Like these are like, because they're not trivial things, you know. It's like, dude, you don't make money, like you're on the couch. You're actually homeless. I'm blessed to have a couch to sleep on. You know, if I didn't make money, like I'd be fucking homeless, you know? So I think that that's one of the reasons why I want money, because once I have money, then I can realize that it's all fucking bullshit, and then I can just get super fucking spiritual.
I think that's so ass backwards. I always think that's so ass backwards.
Yeah, but like I think that that's the only way to like truthfully understand, like, I know you say that that's ass backwards, and maybe it is.
Because I can see where you're coming from. Because
Mike Posner, did you? The only reason why he's spiritual is because he made a bunch of pop songs, got filthy rich, and realized he wasn't fucking happy.
Because you can find time to find inner peace, because you're not always chasing and go, and you're not always have the mental battles, the stress, all right, I got to make it, all right, I have to have this by this deadline, right? You have the money if you want to take a 2-month retreat in Hawaii and just find your fucking self and see what life is all about. You have the means to do that. So that's the difference. Like, that's where I guess Jake and I come from, because I believe the same thing. Because like I always ask myself, like damn, like why can't I just find time to just fucking read? I want to take 10 minutes a day and read. Yeah. And it's like the 10 minutes I have, I just want to lay down and relax.
Yeah.
I don't even want to fucking use my mind anymore and use my brain to be engaged in something. Because like if I'm gonna read, like I want to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's all part of this process, like this journey, and like I guess that's why we love it so much.
And that's why it's called the Journey Podcast.
No, exactly. Like literally, like
legit.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I started it. And you know, I saw this great quote where it's like, the man who loves to walk will always walk farther than the man who loves the destination. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if you don't love what you're doing and you don't love the journey and you don't love the process,
what's the point?
Why are you even doing it? Yeah. The only reason you're doing it is because you enjoy it. The goal and the end, success, that's just a plus.
Yeah.
The money, the everything that comes with it, that's just, the sprinkles on top.
Yeah, it's the byproduct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why we do the things that we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like you enjoy it. but we're also always chasing this inner peace, right? Or like this, like, we want to finally make it so we can just relax.
Yeah.
But if you're wired, I guess, like the way I am, and I know how Jake is, like, will we even be at peace when you quote unquote make it?
No shot.
You're always gonna be like,
you're trying to level up,
yeah,
consistently and constantly. The reason why I think it's such bullshit of like, let me get the money and then everything will fall into place, is because it's like, one, we already know that doesn't work. Like, it's been proven like time and time again. Like, classic, like, what is it? Who is it? Is it always Marilyn Monroe who's like referred to as like, you could have it all but still just be like in the depths of depression and despair? But it's like, yeah, I'm ranting about how the money first thing is such BS, because it's like it's you, if you want to just play the game of having money, and that's the game you want to play in this life, then go for it, and like, that's all good and dandy. But making it the excuse as to why you can't have the inner peace that you want now o'clock, that's BS.
I agree completely with you. And
But
I think that, no, I do completely agree with you, because I think that it has to be part of your game. Like at least there's something inside of me that's pushing me to make billions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Something is in there. I don't know.
And maybe that's like a part of your life's path, and that'll like be the most fun for you. Like, maybe you'll have so much fucking fun doing that.
Yeah, to me it just like, I don't like, dude. So like the book, The Science of Getting Rich, like, it's like specifically states in that book, which was written in 1901, which was like one of the first like financial self-help books. Like, it like shaped financial. When I say financial self-help, it's like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad, like all that shit, and it says in that book, like, the only way to live a spiritual life is to have abundance. So I'm not saying I completely agree with that, but I'm saying I just see two sides of the token, because like,
that's so interesting.
I think that
So you're taking it as like, you need the abundance to have the spiritual life, I guess it's sounding like.
Well, I think there's, no, you don't. I can live a spiritual life in a log cabin, but that's not the spiritual life that I want to live. I want life to be like, it's like, what fun. How would I say it?
Muji talks about this, right? A lot. I don't know if you guys have you ever heard of Muji? Yeah. So Muji, yeah. So Muji, like, it's this like guru, essentially, for the lack of a better word.
Indian? Yeah. I think he's like South American.
He's something fantastic. Yeah. But he has like droves and droves of people who come see him in what's, I believe, called a satsang, like a seating where he just speaks. And like, he speaks, but like, he doesn't even speak too much, like, sometimes he'll really be quiet and just allow for people to meditate and reflect inward. But people come to him and they're like, oh fuck, I forget where I was going with this.
I know. No, I
damn. Abundance.
I think that, of course, there is a way to live a spiritual life with less. And
I remember.
Go.
Okay, it's like people are like, come to him and they're like, well, I don't really want to be enlightened because like, it seems like it's way less fun. Like, just to like, what am I just gonna be, like someone who like has no personality? Like, I'm just gonna be someone who doesn't get like enthralled and isn't that active of a member of like,
doesn't have desires and
no like wants, like, I take away all of my like fun and pleasure and I'm just supposed to sit here in meditation. Like, what type of fucking life is that? And he's like, it doesn't have to look like that. Like, it doesn't have to look like that. And also, like, the greatest like pleasures that will ever come about will be like the pleasures of like the within, like the internal space is the space that's going to give birth to that like richness in which you think is granted to you by the external world.
Yeah.
So I think there's just kind of like this misunderstanding of like who you have to become in order to be considered like spiritually sound, and like who you could be and still be considered spiritually sound.
Yeah, I guess my main point then is that I do agree, like, you don't have to have money to become spiritual. Like, that's not, I think I never thought that was the argument, because that even just saying that sounds ridiculous. But I fucking want money and I want to be spiritually sound, and right now it's like conflicting for, because it's like at least from everything that I understand up until this point, the only way to make mad money is like to focus all your efforts into like making mad money. So like if I want to like take 20 minutes to meditate, and then take 20 minutes to read, and then take 20 minutes to do gratitude, and then take 20 minutes to do affirmations, and like so like I think the real trick in it is realizing that all that shit is bullshit anyway, and like the best thing you could do is just be spiritual in all things that you do. It's just very hard when you're high strung and you're in meetings and fucking this person fucking wants their cash back, and you have to give them like.
Yeah, but think. All right, so think.
I wish you can come shadow me. You know what I'm saying?
To. What do you think I would learn? You think I would like understand where you're coming from, or what do you think I'd get from it?
I think that it would make you respect me a little more.
Put some respect on my name.
No, because it's not.
It's not that I don't respect you.
Right.
It's just like I would be able to see like what it looks like in real time, what your dilemma is.
Yeah, it's not like 3 years ago I was super spiritual because like all I had was spirituality.
Right.
But now I have like a whole other game of entrepreneurship.
Things.
So that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so 2 things. One. Okay, say the people you look up to, right? I know, like, 2 people that you've spoke about the most as of recent, Iman Gaji, Alex Hormozi.
Yeah.
Are they very spiritual beings?
Neither.
No.
Yeah.
So I think you need to decide what type of person you want to be. And it's not like you're trying to mimic someone else. And that was the clip I posted of Rob, where he was like, you need to create your own lane. Following a lane is doing something that's already been done. Right. Once you create your own lane, that's something that is more fitting to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, right? Where it's like you want to be spiritual, but you also want to be like those fucking business savage sharks in the business world, right?
Yes.
In that game.
Yeah.
2, you mentioned, and that was like a wake-up call to me, too. You mentioned, okay, I need 20 minutes for this, 20 minutes for that, 20 minutes for that. I guarantee you and my screen time is well over 6 hours a day on our phone.
Yeah, well over.
Think about the time we wake up on days we don't have to wake up early. Yeah. Think about how much time we spend on our phone when we first wake up out of bed. Think about the time we BS, just bullshitting, doing stupid stuff. Most of the time, it's on our phone.
Yeah.
It's not like we're, like, really doing anything else. Like, we spent fucking 3 hours playing video games today.
Well, we clocked out today.
I get that.
We clocked out today.
But I'm just saying in general, where it's like, there is time.
It's a day off.
You can find 20 minutes in your day to read, 20 minutes to... I fucking make excuses for myself all the time on why I can't read. Yeah. Or why I can't just fucking put the phone down for a while. It's because, bro, we're programmed in a certain manner where we're just always chasing some level of dopamine, and reading and spirituality and meditating doesn't give us the dopamine that our phone gives, or doesn't give us the dopamine that all the quote-unquote, I guess, bad things in our life give us immediately.
Yeah.
They give us immediate gratification.
They do. It feels
when
good.
reading, it might take you a week to read a book. That's hard. Meditating, you can do a year of meditation and still not be good at it. That shit is hard. So anything you do in life, if you want an easier life, you have to do harder things. If you want well, you probably don't want it, but if you have a harder life, you're probably just doing easy things all the time.
I agree.
That's
so
very
I think
interesting.
That's one thing that like we should right after this try to focus on, where it's like Let's fucking like put the phones down for a while. Like let's actually tap into that side. Maybe we don't need the money right now to do it. Maybe we have all the means and everything to do it, because it's not an expensive lifestyle to fucking be spiritual. It's honestly very fucking cheap. Read a book, fucking be by yourself, put the phone down, get away. And I get it. You have the business, you have the phone calls, you have meetings. I said it the other day. I do fucking 8 things. And I don't really monetize from anything. Mm-hmm. And it's like I'm only doing it because I love them, and it takes up majority of my day. Yeah. But there is time. You and I both can't say, like, we're so busy 24/7 on the clock.
It's just, bro, it's the behavior of which we engage in that fucks us up, because it makes us forget that there's divinity. That's what it is. It's like the game of becoming a successful businessman and like scrolling on your phone and like taking meetings and like being high strung and being high stressed out is like you literally will forget over and 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 over, like how godlike you are. Like this dude, I was reading The Mastery of Self by Don Miguel Ruiz, and like one of Don Miguel Ruiz's teachers named himself Smoky Mirror, because he changed his name to Smoky Mirror, because Smoky Mirror to him means Smoky Mirror is the smoke that goes over his understanding of himself as God. It's all this business and women and drama and status and blah 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 that's covering that. At the end of the day, the thing that's going to make you happiest is doing this shit. Like is going inwards. So that's what one thing I will say is like, yeah, we could fucking put some fucking meditation time in, but it's like just the majority, the rest of our life is so not congruent with that.
I think the biggest healing for all of us has to come from realizing the divinity, seeing the divinity in the everyday, the average, the normal.
Yes, I agree.
So it's like really recognizing that there's no way that there's anything that could not be divine. There's nothing that could really be separated from God, which, I mean, hey, we could have like hours and hours long conversations and debates over that statement alone. But, you know, my belief is like we're in the hands of God. And I think I've said this to you before. It's like we're in the hands of God. Like there's no way to get outside of it. And so it's like my challenge to you when I was thinking as you were speaking is like make your journey to becoming a billionaire the most like divine experience possible. Yeah. Like make it the most spiritual, make it the most like imbued and infused with God as you possibly can. And I think you'd be surprised how soon you get there.
I want to do that. Like I want to, like, you know, like I asked you the other day, I was like, who are the top 3 people you would want to model your life after? You know, my 3 is Iman Ghazi. So like, there's my business guy, and then like fucking Alan Watts, who's like my fucking far out, you know, spiritual guy.
Genius.
And then maybe like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who's like my entertainer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God.
You know, like, yeah. So I do like I want to do the fuck. We're doing it. Let's do it. Come on,
break. Okay, wait, I want to try something with you guys.
Go.
Like all of this is really centered around like what we want for our lives, right? Yeah. Like essentially like we want money because we want X, Y, and Z because we think in the having of it, it'll make us feel better, right?
But like, do you see the draw of having money?
The draw?
Like the benefit. Like when I say draw, like the benefit of having money.
I see the benefit of having abundance. So for instance,
what about money?
You're like, money. Dollars. Yeah. dollar bills, like y'all.
Street currency, USD.
Of course, because we're living in a game in which it's recognized. Right. But there is energy is universal. So, like, we have to convert US dollars to maybe euros or yen, right? Yeah. But energy is the universal currency. So, my pure heart can get me a shelter in Japan when I go visit there, because my pure heart speaks to other people's hearts, and they recognize that, and thus they open their kingdom, their shelter, their home to me, and I am fed, clothed, warm, well taken care of, right? All those things. I'm finding in my life that abundance, like this whole idea of needing money, like there are like fucking magical doors that can open for all of us if we just let go and trust that the universe will deliver.
Yeah.
And I have gotten surprised in ways that I never thought possible. So yes, like money, I get it, but like the working of the universe, like that type of abundance, like what that can produce is like far greater than what you could buy. So yeah, I think there's a way around money for sure. Maybe not to ignore it completely, but I have a few friends who are like in situations that just don't add up monetarily, right? But they just got blessed with it, you know? Like people who get to spend like months in Hawaii for free. Like if you talk to anybody else, they're like, that's not possible. But like for them it is. It's just happening to them.
I agree. But I think that I am destined for money.
Okay, well, yeah, then get it.
Because my personality enjoys the idea of richness of life. And I think the only way you can achieve richness of life is with USD.
What if it could come to you without, like I'm sure you've had plenty of life experiences where like you didn't buy it, but like something fucking amazing just opened up to you.
Yeah, but what the thing that I'm chasing is experience, you know. So like I say it over and over and over again, like salsa dancing in Medellin is going to be better than salsa dancing in this fucking room. Sushi in Japan is going to be better than us going to fucking Kotobuki down the street and getting some sushi. Like I think like there's utility in that. Like there are, you know, like.
Bro, I mean, it's pretty easy. Like, bro, money creates freedom to do what you want to do. Money creates experiences.
What if freedom creates money? What if you feeling free is what calls forth money into your life?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know how often that works in reality. I don't.
He's like,
that's it. Die.
No, like
witch.
Help me. Help.
No, like, but honestly, like, I get it. Like, for some, it might happen.
Like your shtick is cute, but like that's just not how shit goes.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
No,
Listen.
I'm just saying. Like,
I see your bank account, bitch.
Right.
How much money you got?
$10. My Venmo is Izzy.
if I'm,
you know, it'd be so funny. On the episode,
right, yeah,
if we
plug
just
my
put
Venmo.
Her Cash App is just on her the entire episode.
That would be perfect. As I'm speaking about, like, you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
No, but seriously, like, if you, you know, if I just sit here, right, and I just let be, and I'm like, I'm gonna be free,
dude,
and just let money come to me.
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't know. I mean, it hasn't fucking happened
Okay.
yet.
For instance,
no, because we're not energetically aligning. We need more wine if this is gonna be the case. No, I see. There's two sides.
There's millions of sides.
I get it, but I'm just saying, when you make money, when you put in X amount of time and dedication and hard work.
I'm just telling you, that's the old bullshit way, and there's a new way, and I promise you. And it's not even a new way; it's actually like ancient. But I swear to God, there's an energetic way. There's
All right, can you give me one example
I can give you an example right now because I understand what she's saying.
So give me an example of a person that just let be and did not work hard and they just got an abundance of money.
Let Jakey Poo take care of this one.
Okay, yeah. So someone that just let be,
that didn't hit the lottery, that didn't just walk into money, that just was
I would say
that did nothing and they just got rich.
I'm not like all right, like I could probably think of like a lot of people, but like I'll say I am making a hypothesis that majority of people, not majority, but there's a large amount of people that make a lot of money that did so by being like hyper present and being like hyper not stressed out, so I think that's kind of, to put things in like simpler terms, is if you just were to tap into the divine and follow your like purpose and follow your passion and practice all this spiritual stuff, then and take so much of the, we talked about it earlier on the podcast, like when you focus on something, sometimes like if you focus on money in a way that's like, if you focus on money in a stressed out way and like I need money, that'll push it away.
Scarcity mindset.
Yeah, but if you focus on money with like in a spiritual way, like, oh, what like how is my yacht going to make me feel?
Simple appreciation begets appreciation grants more things to appreciate. We all probably know one person in our life who's just like so grateful, like who's just like such a sweetheart, and like everything around them kind of just like opens up to them, or like they're just always finding things to be grateful for, and it's like
someone like him.
Gary Vee works harder than fucking 99% of people on the earth.
No. But
that guy's nonstop. Bro, that guy goes to garage sales and bargains people for $4 or paying $3.50.
But I think he loves. I think
he has so much fun.
He's so tapped into his God's purpose for him that like he loves every second of it.
Yeah, I agree.
No, I get that, but I'm saying like, I mean, I just don't. I just don't think that just like it sounds nice.
Okay, I have a good example.
Don't know who has done that yet.
Okay,
where it's like anyone
Native Americans.
They're not.
If you go back to the
He's like, where's the money? Show me a Native American on the Forbes 500.
You're right. Because what I'm really trying to touch upon, and what others are trying to touch upon that are along the same line of
not fur, salt,
is the word harmony. Living in harmony with the energy of the universe, right? Grants you.
But then we're speaking about like
abundance.
Two completely different things.
Let her fucking finish, bro.
Get mad at him. Get mad at him right fucking now.
Jake brought up money.
Yeah,
right? And we're talking about like, did you need like freedom or money, or like do you need money to be free? Do you need money to be free?
Flipping through my shit.
I get it, like being at complete odds and peace.
Down. The first time I've ever done this on a podcast.
And all that stuff. I get it, but I'm just saying, like when you have an abundance worth of money, because if you just let be, right, and you don't work hard for it, and money just comes to you. Are you really going to appreciate it? Because you didn't do anything to get it.
Okay, Native Americans. So they had to live in harmony with the land, and thus they understood if they appreciated the land that they would be given abundance, and that like life would cooperate with them. And this is like a way of going about life that is just so well respected by so many of us who have lost sight of that type of life, that are now just really greedy and don't give thanks. And so that's all I'm really saying is when you tap into appreciation and you live in harmony with the energy and with the flow, you can be granted great gifts.
Native Americans ran out of their own land by rich white Europeans, and they got their land taken from them and they got killed. So at what harmony did they really have?
When it was their time, I think because
they were by themselves. But when the motherfuckers with money and guns and shit came over to their land, they took it from them and they didn't give them anything. So it's like,
I'm white. I did it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it sounds nice, But it sounds nice. But when the killers, when the motherfuckers with the money and the guns, and they pull up, they took the shit from them. They took their land.
This is the most.
They raped and killed their woman,
killed their kids, took their
blood.
land, and gave them nothing in return.
Pimped them out, slaved them. Said, how do you tame this water buffalo?
So for the time being, sure, they were at peace and harmony. But I'm saying when Christopher Columbus came over here, that motherfucker said,
the smelly fat
"I need
dudes
that
with the wigs.
I need that. I want that. Oh, I'm gonna kill
true.
all your family." So it's like, at the end of the day, money is power.
Good example, but bad example at the same time.
Damn.
Money is kind of power. You know, you can't really.
We gave it the power.
That
We gave it the power to begin with, so thus we can definitely take it away. If we gave it that power, we definitely have the power to take it away.
Yeah, but we're not gonna fucking.
I don't know.
It's us.
I'll end it with this, but like you and I talked about this the other day. Money and girls run the world.
Who runs the world?
Girls. No. Listen.
Part 2. If you enjoyed part 1,
We enjoyed this banter.
Yeah, tell us. Yeah, this has been something.
Is this the most enthusiastic it's gotten?
We're gonna do part 2.
Yeah,
we're gonna do part 2. This isn't over.
No.
I also think we had to break Izzy in, and I think that I was really tired in the beginning of this. So let's we're committing to part 2.
Absolutely.
I'm doing that for all of us now.
Let's do it.
Okay.
We'll commit to part 2. You come correct. I'm
gonna do my research.
She's gonna have okay, here's the statute of limitations. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna give an outro. You give the outro. Because it's fucking the journey.
No, we're good.
All right.
It's over.
And we'll see you guys next time for part 2.
Proud
You're
to
the
be
journey.
an American, where at least I know I'm free.